The blind date was empty, until little twin girls walked in. The coffee shop buzzed with the usual morning crowd, students typing furiously, baristas shouting out orders, and the faint smell of cinnamon lingering in the air. I slid into the corner booth, checking my watch for the third time in 10 minutes. My first blind date, arranged by a well-meaning friend, was supposed to start 15 minutes ago. I sighed, scrolling through my phone to distract myself, trying to ignore the creeping doubt. Maybe he'd forgotten. Maybe I'd misread the text. Maybe this was just another awkward story I'd tell later about a date that never happened. Just as I was about to leave, the door jingled. Two little girls around 6 or 7, holding hands, stepped inside. Their identical pigtails bobbed as they scanned the room. One of them spotted me immediately. "My daddy's sorry he's late," she said, smiling shyly. I blinked. "Oh?" The other girl nodded. "He had to help someone. He said not to worry and we could wait for him." I was confused but intrigued. Who were they? And who was their dad? They pulled out tiny chairs and climbed in beside me, chattering softly about school, their favorite cartoons, and a lost kitten they were trying to rescue. Their warmth and innocence filled the empty space at my table. I found myself laughing, genuinely laughing, as we shared cookies and milk. After a while, a man rushed in. Mid-30s, kind eyes, slightly disheveled from what I guessed had been a hectic morning. He looked apologetic, scanning the room until his eyes landed on us. "Girls, I'm so sorry," he said, kneeling to their level. "Thank you for waiting, and thank you for being patient with everything today." I watched silently as the girls hugged him tightly. Then he looked at me and there was a quiet pause. "I should explain," he said, taking a deep breath. "This morning on my way here, I saw a woman having trouble with her car. She was stranded and I couldn't just leave her." He hesitated, eyes darting to the twins. "I ended up helping her for almost an hour and then I rushed over. I didn't want to be late, but I couldn't ignore someone in need." Something about his words struck me. In a world that often feels hurried, self-absorbed, and impatient, here was someone who chose kindness over punctuality, a reminder that humanity sometimes outweighs convenience. I smiled. "It's okay," I said. "Really, that was very thoughtful of you." He exhaled, relief evident, and then looked at the girls. "And these two? They remind me why helping others matters. They keep me grounded." The girls beamed and I realized something profound. The blind date I expected was nothing compared to the unexpected, heartfelt connection I found instead. For an hour, strangers became companions. Laughter replaced awkward silence. Genuine warmth replaced nervous tension. By the time we left the coffee shop, I wasn't just leaving with the memory of a first date. I was leaving with hope. Hope that kindness still mattered, that human connection could surprise you when you least expected it, and that sometimes the most meaningful encounters are the ones you never planned. As we waved goodbye, the twins called after me, "See you soon." Their voices carried joy, innocence, and a gentle reminder that life's small acts of compassion ripple far beyond the moment. That day, I realized something simple but powerful. Sometimes, the world opens doors not to what we expect, but to what we truly need: kindness, laughter, and a reminder of our shared humanity. As we stepped out of the coffee shop, the crisp autumn air wrapped around us. The man, whose name I finally learned was Ethan, juggled his briefcase in one hand and the twins' small backpacks in the other. I offered to help, but he shook his head with a grateful smile. "Thanks, but I've got this," he said. His voice carried a quiet strength, the kind you notice only after someone's actions speak louder than words. The twins skipped ahead, occasionally glancing back to make sure I was following. They held out little hands, tugging me into their tiny adventures as they chattered about the kitten they were determined to find before dinner. I laughed, realizing I hadn't felt this unexpectedly connected in a long time. This wasn't just a date anymore. It was a reminder that the world could surprise you in the smallest, yet most profound ways. At the crosswalk, Ethan paused and glanced at me. "I hope you don't mind," he said, "but I'd like you to join us for dinner tonight. It's just us three, and I'd love for you to meet the rest of our little world." I hesitated, and then I smiled. "I'd like that." The evening unfolded with laughter and stories. We shared pizza in the twins' living room, built Lego castles, and even ended up rescuing a tiny kitten that had somehow taken refuge under the sofa. The father, usually reserved, revealed a quiet humor, while the twins bounced between imaginative games and asking endless questions about my life. And as I watched them, I realized the first blind date had been empty, only in the literal sense. What it gave me instead was a glimpse into lives shaped by empathy, patience, and love. It was a reminder that sometimes the people worth meeting arrive in the most unexpected forms, and the moments that touch your heart aren't planned, they're lived. When the evening ended, Ethan walked me to my car. The twins waved from the doorway, still buzzing with excitement over their kitten rescue. Ethan smiled, his eyes reflecting gratitude, relief, and something softer, hope. "Thank you for today," he said quietly, "for being patient with the wait, and for seeing the real me." I nodded, feeling a warmth I hadn't anticipated. "Thank you for showing me that kindness still exists, even in the busiest, most unexpected moments." As I drove home, I realized that life sometimes gives you stories that are better than any plan you could make. The blind date wasn't about romance. It was about witnessing humanity in its simplest, most profound form. It was about little twin girls, a father who chose compassion over convenience, and a chance encounter that reminded me that the world is full of small miracles, waiting to surprise you. And in that moment, I felt an undeniable truth settle in my chest. Kindness always finds its way back, and sometimes it leads you exactly where you're supposed to be. After leaving the coffee shop, the crisp autumn air seemed fresher somehow, as if the morning had been holding its breath for this moment. Ethan walked briskly, juggling the twins' little backpacks in his briefcase, while the girls skipped ahead, occasionally turning back to wave at me. "Are you coming?" One of them called, her pigtails bouncing. I laughed softly. "I'm right behind you." We arrived at Ethan's apartment, a cozy, sunlit space with warm hardwood floors and a small balcony overlooking the street. The twins immediately ran to a corner with a small basket of toys, and Ethan motioned for me to sit on the sofa. "I should probably explain," he said, brushing a stray lock of brown hair from his forehead. "This morning, well, I saw a woman struggling with her car. She had no one around, and I couldn't just leave her. That's why I was late." His eyes met mine, a mix of apology and quiet pride shining through. "I know it might seem careless to be late, but I couldn't ignore someone in need." I smiled, touched. "It's more than okay, honestly. It's really admirable." The twins climbed onto the sofa beside us, curling up with a shared stuffed rabbit. They started talking excitedly about their plans to help a stray kitten they had spotted near the building. Ethan and I exchanged a glance, both smiling at the girl's boundless energy. And then, unexpectedly, the kitten appeared. Tiny brown-gray striped and trembling slightly, it darted across the living room floor. The twins squealed with delight, and Ethan immediately knelt to guide it gently toward us. I instinctively reached out to help, and together we coaxed the small creature into their arms. For a moment the room was silent except for soft purrs and the twins' giggles. I realized then that this blind date, the one I had feared would be awkward or disappointing, was turning into something far more meaningful. It wasn't about romance alone. It was about kindness, connection, and the small miracles life sometimes quietly delivers. By evening, we were gathered around a simple dinner, Ethan, the twins, and I sharing stories, laughter, and playful teasing. The girls' energy was infectious. Ethan's quiet humor and gentle patience made the room feel warm and safe. I felt a sense of belonging I hadn't expected to find in a first meeting. When it was time to leave, Ethan walked me to my car. The twins waved from the doorway, their little faces glowing with excitement. Ethan's gaze held a quiet hope. "Thank you for today," he said softly. "For being patient, for understanding, for just being here." I nodded, a warmth spreading through my chest. "Thank you for showing me that kindness and compassion still matter, even when life gets busy." Driving home, I reflected on the morning's events. A missed appointment, a seemingly empty blind date, had led to laughter, warmth, and an unexpected bond. I realized that life doesn't always deliver what we plan, but sometimes it gives exactly what we need. A reminder that human connection, Empathy and small acts of love make all the difference.